Is DW News live from Berlin. I'm Hannah Hummel. I'm joined by my colleague Jared Reed. We are following the breaking news coming from here in the German capital. At least one person has been killed at Berlin Pride after a car was driven into a crowd of people. At least 16 more people have been injured. 3 of those have life-threatening injuries. That's according to the Berlin Fire Brigade. The incident occurred after the official parade at a park where people were gathered afterwards. Police say the vehicle was a white van and that a man emerged from it and then fled on foot. Police are currently searching for the suspect, who they believe to be a man with ties to Berlin's Islamist scene. The van was reportedly rented under his name. German media says he was released from a juvenile detention centre earlier this year and is known to the police for religiously motivated activities. Now, more than 2,200 police officers have been deployed to the area, while people who had been attending the celebrations in the area were asked to evacuate. Now, for more on this, I want to bring in my colleague Bernd Riegert, DW political correspondent. Bernd, what is the latest?
Well, here at the entrance to the Tiergarten Park, where this white van entered the park, police is wrapping up the massive police operation, but forensic experts are still in the woods here at the car, collecting evidence, and also the search for suspects is ongoing. So far we know that the police identified one suspect who was not arrested yet, but the search is underway. Several of houses that are somehow attached to the suspects have been searched here, and the police is saying that they think that this man, a young man, supposedly 21 years old, has ties to the Islamist scene here in Berlin, but a police spokesperson also hinted at the point that this does not mean that this is actually an Islamist motive behind this. The connection is there, but until they have the suspect, they cannot really say what his motives are. But of course, the police says it is a very severe incident, a severe crime. They don't call it a deliberate attack or a terrorist attack yet, so we have to wait until the investigation is ongoing, and tomorrow morning we should know more, the police officer told us.
And now, Bernd, there are also reports coming from some German media outlets that some of the injured people also had stab wounds and that the man who fled the scene was carrying a machete. Now, this is all just speculation right now, but what can you tell us about that?
Well, there's no confirmation for the reports that there are stab wounds actually, but there were some eyewitnesses that are now also questioned that have told things like that there was also a man with a knife, but police so far did not confirm that. The police is saying the investigation is ongoing. They cannot tell us the details. But you can also, maybe from the fact that 13 people are still with life-threatening or very severe conditions injured and treated in hospitals here. Is that only done by cars? Is it due to other means? We don't know that. And until 1 hour ago, one person was also treated here in the woods and then flown out with a helicopter to a hospital.
And can you tell us anything more about the victim, the person that was actually killed in this attack?
Well, it's confirmed that a woman did not survive this attack and died in a hospital, but we don't know the details and the whereabouts of these persons. The fire brigade spokesman would only tell us that these injured are now treated, and 3 of them are have life-threatening injuries, and 8 of them have very severe injuries. But this is all we know so far.
Well, let's hope that all of them are able to pull through. Bernd Riegert, thank you so much for that update. Well, I'm joined now in the studio by DW reporter Jared Reed. Jared, you were at the Pride celebrations earlier in the day. What were they like, and how does it feel now to know, that they ended so abruptly and in such a horrible way?
Yeah, it is. It is a really dreadful incident, but it all went off really well in the first part of the day. In that respect, it was, until this happened, it was just a really typical CSD, Christopher Street Day. That's what the parade, that's what the event is called. And I've been to many of them now because I've lived in Berlin for quite some years. And really, it was just like any other. There were, there always is a lot of people at these events, a couple of 100,000 people, all marching along behind or with some 80 floats that kind of snakes its way through different districts of Berlin and makes its way to the iconic Brandenburg Gate. And there's a really long street in front or behind that landmark, and that is where basically people end up and they have a big dance party there. So that's what was happening when this incident happened, and then the police had to cancel it and ask everybody to go home. But in terms of what I saw today, it just was a really lovely, warm July Berlin day that very sadly ended this way.
And now we do have a statement from the Berlin police. Let's just take a listen into that.
Based on our investigators' initial findings, we have already identified a suspected perpetrator. Measures are already underway against this suspect, who has not yet been arrested. However, this suspect is known to the police. He is known to us as a member of the Islamist scene here in Berlin. Our search for this individual is proceeding at full speed. We still have no information regarding his specific motives, the exact sequence of events, or his role in the crime itself.
So that there is Berlin police calling the suspect an Islamist. Now, this isn't the first time that there have been Islamist attacks in Germany. Can you maybe shed some light on some previous similar incidents?
That's right. So there have been a number of incidents like these in the last decade or so, and a lot of people will remember the Christmas market attack back in December 2016. That is when a Tunisian asylum seeker drove a truck into a crowd which killed 13 people, and that had a seismic effect in Germany. It resulted in 2 parliamentary inquiries and a lot of safety upgrades for events like this one. So we're talking about not just an increased police presence, but also things like concrete blocks being installed around, for example, Christmas markets, so cars would not be able to drive into crowds. We also had another attack, a similar attack in the city of Magdeburg here in Germany. This is when an anti-Islam extremist, Saudi Arabian national, drove a vehicle into a crowd at this Christmas market, killing 6 people, injuring over 300. And there have been a number of other types of incidents like these ones that have really push the spotlight of Islamist extremism here in Germany, and it's been under scrutiny.
And, I mean, we mentioned earlier, police still haven't confirmed that this has indeed been a terror attack. I think that's important to emphasise. But at the same time, this will definitely have major ramifications on how future Pride events are planned or how they take place. Where do you see the future of CSD in Berlin after this?
Well, yeah, that's right. And as you say, as Bernd and the police officer was saying, the fact that the suspect is an Islamist doesn't yet mean that there was an Islamist motive. That's just not something they've been able to establish yet. But in terms of what this means for future events like the Christopher Street Day, like the Pride event in Berlin, one of the biggest in Europe, it's definitely going to have an impact on that and have an impact, I guess, on the types of security planning that goes into what really is an enormous event. And all of these things, whether there were any shortcomings or what those might have been, I guess we will find out in the weeks and months to come. I think it's just a little bit too early to say what the effect is going to be on this particular event, but there will certainly be one, and it will also affect other types of public events that take place here in Germany as well, one would expect.
Well, Jared Reed, thank you so much for that and for sharing your experience from today as well. Well, we will be following this story here on DW as more of the details become clear, so make sure that you stay tuned for updates as they come in. But for now, thank you so much for watching.